This is a programmable logic controller. Wait, that's the wrong channel. Anyway, okay, so this programmable logic controller, it's PLC. What it does is essentially gives you advanced control over relays. Basic in-out functions to handle any and all of your relay needs, whether it be just standard, hey, open a relay if this happens, such as a signal from an ECU based off temperature or pressure, or something more like timers, your flashers, your defogs, whatever it may be. Pretty handy little thing. 12 volts in, ground out. There's different versions of these. You can get them at 24 volt or 110, 220 volt AC. Make sure you're getting a 12 volt one if you're putting one of these in a car. As you can see right there, DC 12 volt. It's even written into the model, SG228HR12D. Clever, huh? So you can see this one itself has 16 inputs, 12 plus another 4. Pretty sweet. And I've used a whopping 4 already, and I'm still trying to come up with what I can use the others for. Because between the ECU handling stuff and this, who knows? It is expandable. You can open up this part right here and add on another module, which is pretty sweet if you end up deciding you need to do a lot more with it. They have these in bare bones configurations without the screen and the buttons and the case and all that kind of stuff. Being it's my first go, I figured I'd get the full shebang. These are typically used for what's called a SCADA system, central control and data acquisition, which is mainly for things like power plants, dams, any kind of major stuff that requires near instant feedback and changes based off of sensors, safety, protection, things like that. So, but they can be used for a lot. So you got your standard input output, that's on and off. Here is your input signals. So like this gray one is from my input switch for turn on the rear window defogger. Yellow, left turn signal, orange hazards, green, right turn signal. Out here in the bottom, they share the same 12 volt switched ignition. Turn signal, and then defog out. These run, this one runs to the defog relay. So this is not pushing the heavy amp power that needs to actually run the defogger. It just runs the relay. And then these are actually running the plain old circuit for the turn signals. Pretty simple. Another video I go over how to actually program this thing, which can be daunting at first, but once you figure it out, it's pretty simple. Threw it together into a standard 12-pin connector. Easy as can be. But this thing runs about $89-ish at factorymation.com. They have smaller ones, they have bigger ones, they've got the expansion modules. Highly recommended. Spend the extra like $8 for the cable. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there having to program the entire thing with these buttons, using this screen, having it plugged into 12 volt power to be able to do it. Using this, there's handy software on the computer. And you can do all that programming and then just load it in one quick shot. So it can do standard relays, like I said, on, off, if then, timers, counters, advanced functions, if, then, and, or, NAND, NOR, exclusive and, or, all kinds of things that you can learn about once you get into programming actual logic. And that's exactly what it is, logic, if, then. So this one has 8 different outputs with a whole buttload of inputs. Way more than I needed for this car, but you know, I'm the test monkey. You guys can figure it out from there. But fairly light, not too heavy at all, especially if you get one of the smaller ones or the lighter ones. It's got mounting holes that pop up and down, so if you're actually gonna hard mount it somewhere, it's good to go. Plenty of ventilation. It's just a little couple circuit boards inside with some micro relays. But highly recommended if you're redoing your car. The RX-7 had a convoluted CPU number 2 and CPU number 1 that used a whole bunch of transistors and resistors and capacitors to run something as simple as a flasher. Oftentimes they would leak the capacitors, and then it would end up, you know, the acid burns through a bunch of stuff, ruining your entire CPU. And then these days, as old as they are, you know, they're kind of hard to come by. And if you do find them, they're quite expensive, you know, up to 3 times as expensive as this little thing, let alone a smaller one. So something this easy is feels a pretty good investment. Check out the other video to figure out how to actually program it, and I'll see you later.